Hi, my name is Abby. I'm an author and a reader, and I love to talk about books, so that's what I do here on this channel. And today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I usually talk about classics or kind of list different types of books I've been reading and give lists of book recommendations. But today I actually wanted to go through, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars. I have not kept up with all the new shows and things. When I say I love Star Wars, I'm pretty much talking about the movies and the Clone Wars animated show. Those were the things that I was most invested in. And there's just too much to keep up with now. I don't have time, but I love reading the books too. There are tons of Star Wars books, and I love Star Wars books. It captures the feeling, and I get the Star Wars that I love, you know? And so anyway, I have been collecting Star Wars books for a while. I don't have the biggest collection, that's for sure. There are people with like 500, 600 book collections. I don't have that many. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to go through today and show what I do have, because I'm actively collecting Star Wars books still. And I thought, someday if I have a much bigger collection, it'd be fun to look back and see what I have. So anyway, I'm going to go through those and I'll tell you which ones I've read, which ones I really like so far. There's a lot that I haven't read yet because it's kind of a big collection. So anyway, we're going to go through those today. So if you like Star Wars, I hope you like this video. So first, I wanted to go through my collection of mass market paperbacks. So these I've collected. So with my Star Wars books, a lot of them I've collected used, even the new ones. So there's something to understand with Star Wars books is there's the expanded universe, which are now called Legends, which were written before Disney acquired Star Wars. And then we have the canon books, which are written after Disney acquired Star Wars. There's debates about which one's better. I like both. I haven't watched all the new Disney shows, so not every book is applicable to me that I would understand it. But personally, I think the expanded universe is better overall because I just love those characters. And they have Mara Jade, and it was the original introduction of Admiral Thrawn and just different characters that I just love. It's great. But the Disney canon has also been fun to read too. There are some things I really like there, like the High Republic, or some stories they tell, ways they tell different stories, things they fill in that I think they did a great job with. So I enjoy both. I collect both. I have more canon books than I do expanded universe books right now. I used to have more of the expanded universe books back in high school because that's what I read. But unfortunately, when I've moved a couple times since then, and when I got married, we had to downsize and all these things, so I just don't have my full collection anymore. But I'm working on collecting everything again, so I'll hopefully get them back. But anyway, so far what I have in mass market paperbacks, I'll start with. So this is part of the expanded universe. This is Choices of One. It's a story of Mara Jade. It's the sequel to Allegiance, which I also have. And it's by Timothy Zahn. He's like the best, in my opinion, he's the best Star Wars author. He wrote the Hand of Thrawn, is it the Hand of Thrawn series? It's the Heir to the Empire, the one that starts with the Heir to the Empire. It's this trilogy of Star Wars books that came out in the expanded universe that really, those were my favorite Star Wars books all through high school and still to this day. I love them, they're so good. And the characters he created, Thrawn and Mara Jade, in those books are just fantastic. So this one is actually more focused on Mara Jade. I haven't read it yet, which is shocking. That's because this is actually a sequel to this one, which is called Allegiance, and I just got this book a week or two ago. I found it at a used bookstore in excellent condition. So I'm excited to finally read these two this summer, hopefully. Next, in the Star Wars Expanded Universe ones that I have in mass market paperback, I have Shadow Games by Michael Reeves. I haven't read this one yet, but it's very much a sort of spy thriller feel, almost like Han Solo sort of story, and I'm excited to read it. It looks like so much fun, and so that's why I picked it up. I really wanted to read this one. And then I have Knight Errant. This one I'm so excited also to read. Like I said, I haven't read a lot of these, but it's by John Jackson Miller, who first of all is a fantastic writer. I really like his stuff. He wrote one that I just read that's called A New Dawn. It's also a Star Wars book, very good. But this one I'm so excited about. It's set in the Old Republic, and it's about a Jedi who gets lost in Sith space all alone, and she just has to kind of survive and defend herself, and it sounds really good, so I'm really excited to read it. This one, okay, now we're moving into, these are my canon mass market paperbacks. So, Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray. Claudia Gray is a fantastic Star Wars author. Disney brought her in with the new canon, and she's written several books that are just excellent, fantastic. Bloodlines, which is one about Princess Leia. She wrote Lost Stars, which I think is probably the most popular of the YA books in the new canon. This one is my favorite by her, Master and Apprentice, and it's about Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. And I love it because before the movies, before the Phantom Menace, we don't really see, obviously Qui-Gon dies by Darth Maul, so we never really see a ton of interactions between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, even in that movie. So I was so excited when I found out this was about them, and it's such a great book. I loved it. She gets the characters down so well and gets the whole Jedi down so well, everything. She knows Star Wars well, and so this is a really fun one, and plus the cover is gorgeous. I love this book. Next, we have Star Wars Dark Disciple by Christie Golden, and she does really good novelization tie-ins to different franchises. This one's about Asajj Ventress from the Clone Wars animated TV show, which the Clone Wars animated show was absolutely fantastic. I love that show. It just gets better with every season. But this one is based on her, and it's her story. I think after she's done with Dooku or something like that. I haven't read it yet, and I've tried not to find it too many spoilers, but this one I'm excited to read too. Also by Christie Golden, we have Battlefront 2 Inferno Squad. Now this is about the characters from the Battlefront 2 video game, and I actually have played that, and I played through the story mission, and I enjoyed it. I know it gets a lot of crap, but I enjoyed it. And it's about Iden Versio, I think is how you say her name, which is the main character in the story missions of that video game. But I'm excited to read this one too. I've heard great things about it. And again, it's Christie Golden, who I know is a good author, so. Black Spire. I liked this one. So this one is sort of a sequel to Phasma. So Phasma, obviously, both are written by Delilah Dawson, and Phasma is about the character of Captain Phasma from the new Star Wars movies, episode 7 through 9. And honestly, she was a disappointment in the movies because we just didn't get anything about her. She was taken out very quickly. But the books make her character really interesting. I was shocked because this almost felt like Mad Max meets Star Wars. Really weird combination, but really good book and something very different from what you usually find in Star Wars. So I really enjoyed this one, and it was in this one that we get introduced to the characters of Vi Moradi, who is sort of the star in this one, and she's a spy for the Republic. And Black Spire is, yes, it's a tie-in to the new Disney's park, Galaxy's Edge, those things, but it's more a story about her building a base for the rebellion and sort of building up the rebellion again. And it's a fun one. It's sort of different from normal Star Wars books, I think, in a way, that I've read, because it's not so much about Jedi and those sorts of things. It's more just about building a grassroots rebellion from the ground up. So this was a fun one. And Vi's character is just really fun. She's a great character, and Delilah Dawson does great because she did both these books, so she really has those characters down. So the last mass market paperback size I have is Battlefront Twilight Company by Alexander Freed. I've heard mixed opinions. Some people absolutely love Alexander Freed's writing. Some people don't like it as much. I haven't read anything by him yet, but I am excited about this one because I do love the Battlefront stories. I think they're really interesting to actually get those stories on the front lines of what's going on. Again, a little bit away from the Jedi and more in just the normal people fighting in these wars, whether in the Rebellion or for the Empire. So I'm excited to read that one. Behind me, you're going to see my shelf getting emptier and emptier because that's where I keep all my Star Wars books. So just ignore that. Next I have, these are some that I got again, I get these used, and I just got a big box off eBay one time of just a bunch of used Star Wars books. So this is kind of a miscellaneous collection of different expanded universe books that were rebranded as Legends, so they're sort of different covers now and they all kind of match. But so I'm missing the first books. These are all from different series, and I'm missing the first book for each one, but I'm working on collecting them. But so I have the second and third books in the Rogue Squadron series, which are written by Michael Stackpole, and he wrote the X-Wing series, which is one of the most popular series from the Expanded Universe books. They're supposed to be really good, and so I'm still looking for the first book in this series. Once I have the first book, I can read this one, but I think I need to read the X-Wing series first, and again, it's just a matter of collecting all these books. There are so many I want to read, but there's only so much space, and also collecting all those, you have to find them all and buy them all. So I try to visit used bookstores and pick up Star Wars books when I see them, or sometimes I'll find lots online, just like a box of random Star Wars books, which is really fun to me. I try not to buy the Star Wars books new, because the fun thing about collecting Star Wars books, especially when I was in high school and I was reading from the Expanded Universe, was that they didn't print them anymore. You just had to go buy them used, and so it was always a hunt to find, okay, which ones, do I want to get, which ones can I find, which ones am I interested in, oh, here's the third in this series. So I tried to recreate that today, just because, one, brand new books are expensive, but two, it's more fun that way. So I like just finding books, be like, oh, look what I found, score, I found this book here. So anyway, all that to say, that's why my collection's so mixed. But I have Darth Plagueis by James Luceno. I'm excited to read this one. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and he's a great author. Lastly, in this random set, I have the first book in the Wraith Squadron series by Aaron Alston, and I've heard mixed things about this too. Some people think it was kind of a poor attempt at a follow-up to the X-Wing series, but I've also heard people really like it. So I think it all just comes down to some people like different styles of writing and different authors. And when it comes to Star Wars, you've got so many different authors, all with vastly different writing styles. And so you find people that you really enjoy, and then you'll find others that maybe you don't like, and that's just like any other book. It's just that when it's all unified under one title, it kind of makes it more difficult when you don't like a certain writer. Okay, next I'm going to go through some more canon books that I have. Again, I got these all mixed up, but I have the first book in the Alphabet Squadron series, which I really want to read, but I'm waiting again until I have the other two books, because if I really fall in love, I don't want to have to wait to read the next two. And this one's by Alexander Freed, the one who wrote the Battlefront book. Next, we have another one by Claudia Gray. Claudia Gray is great. I have Star Wars Leia, Princess of Alderaan. This one's a YA Leia book, and it's set before the events of A New Hope. But there's another one by Claudia Gray that I've read. I used to own it. Again, it's one of those that I don't have anymore. But it's called Bloodlines, and it was about Leia after the events of 4, 5, and 6. So that one was a really great one too. But this one is actually about her when she's younger. And like I said, Claudia Gray is great. You can pretty much read any Star Wars book by her and know it's going to be good. This one is the one I mentioned by John Jackson Miller. It's A New Dawn, and it's about the characters Kanan and Hera. And if you have kept up with any of the Star Wars media, they were in the show Star Wars Rebels, which came out years ago. But they were two great characters. I love them. I did watch that show. And so I was really excited to read this book. And he is such a great author. And it's funny because Rebels always felt like a show that was more aimed towards, I don't want to say kids, but definitely more kid-ish. It wasn't the level of Clone Wars where an adult would really enjoy it. But this book is definitely an adult book, not in the themes or anything, but the way it's written is so enjoyable. And it makes Kanan and Hera feel like they're such great characters, and you really get this dynamic between them that's just fantastic, that the author just nailed the dynamic between these two. It's so much fun, and it really feels like a Star Wars story, and I really love this book. Very much a fun to read, very much blast to get through, and it's nice to see these different characters with sort of smaller stakes, where it's not a whole galaxy thing, it's smaller stakes, and you're getting a fun story that goes pretty quick. Now, if you're a fan of Rogue One, Rebel Rising is another book that I really enjoyed in the new Star Wars canon, and it's about Jyn Erso, and it's about her story. This one's by Beth Revis. She did a great job. I really want her to write more Star Wars books because this book was really good. But Rogue One, I really enjoyed the movie, and I was a fan of the movie. I liked the characters, but I was always a little curious because we had like Saw Gerrera and these other characters that were sort of kind of big characters that just, there was information we didn't really know about them or backstory we've never gotten. And this book is really great because it breaks down what happens after Jyn Erso's parents after she's separated from her parents, her mother's killed and her dad's taken, and Saw Gerrera takes her in. And it was so good. I loved it. I really didn't think I was going to love this book as much as I did, but I loved it. I'm not the biggest fan of YA books, so I was hesitant, but man, the author did such a great job telling Jyn's story in a really emotional way, getting me really emotionally invested in this character, and also to help understand her relationship with Saw better and understanding Saw himself better. So this is a great book. Definitely recommend it. Very, very, very good. Catalyst. So this one is another, they call it a Rogue One novel, and it's about the building of the Death Star. It's about Jyn Erso's father, Galen Erso, and her mother and everything that goes into building the Death Star. And it is also, I've heard, very good. I'm planning to read this one next after I finish whatever I'm reading right now. I'm planning to read this one next because I've heard excellent things, and I can't wait to read it because that's a topic that I think is really interesting, the building of the Death Star and everything. Next, I have Inquisitor: Rise of the Red Blade. Don't know a ton about the story. I know it's about a girl who was in training to be a Jedi. She always struggled with the Jedi Order, and then the Jedi Order falls and she becomes a Sith Inquisitor instead. And so this is one of those books where it's not a story of someone becoming a hero, it's somebody falling. Sorry, my battery died in the middle of that. But as I was saying, this one's more about the story of somebody becoming a villain over time or becoming part of the dark side. So I'm excited to read this one. Definitely a different tone. It'll be more of a downer than than a happy, hopeful book, but it still sounds really fun and interesting to read because the Inquisitors were something that are interesting to have in the Star Wars universe. But the other one I have is Brotherhood by Mike Chen, and this one's specifically about Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship after Anakin becomes a Jedi Knight, which I'm really excited to read about because I do love those two characters, especially in Clone Wars. I loved seeing the dynamic between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and it's something we didn't get in the movies, obviously, because there were so many time skips, so I'm excited to read this book. Last but certainly not least, I have my collection of High Republic books, which I really enjoy the High Republic. I got into these books, actually I wasn't planning to read the High Republic series, and one of the book boxes or groups of books, bundles I bought through eBay or Pango Books or wherever it was, included the first book of the High Republic series that sort of kicks off the whole thing. And so I thought, I'll give it a shot, why not? And I fell in love with it. So that was Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. And this book kicks off the entire High Republic series, and it is so good. It's fantastic because what we're seeing in this series is Jedi sort of at the height of what being a Jedi means. It's when the Jedi weren't caught up in politics and all these twisted political games and wars and pride, and they weren't so, the Jedi Council that we see prior to the Clone Wars and in the middle of the Clone Wars even, and then once we get to it in Revenge of the Sith and things, that Jedi Council is very caught up in the politics and almost arrogant and prideful and sort of losing sight of what it means to be a Jedi. They're too, okay, now I'm getting nerdy, but they're too caught up in believing in their own ability to see things clearly that they can't see things clearly anymore. Whereas in Light of the Jedi, and they have so many rules, sorry, getting off on a tangent, but they have so many rules and things that are just, the Jedi Order is not what it should be. And so then you have Light of the Jedi, and this is the Jedi Order at its peak, when Jedi are truly the paragons of virtue and justice and compassion and self-sacrifice and keeping their distance from politics and things like that and truly working to serve people no matter who it is. And this is such a fun series, and the big bad guy is not a Sith. It's actually a group of sort of space pirates called the Nile, and it's so much fun. I loved seeing such a fantastic brand new cast of characters, these awesome Jedi, awesome characters, all involved in this massive scale thing going on, and it's just, it's so good. It's so much fun. This is what you think of when you think of Star Wars and just this big fun space opera. So I love the High Republic series. Now, I've only read, this is my entire collection so far, and there are a lot more books. Unfortunately, I've only been able to read 2 of them so far because I'm missing the one that goes right after this one. So I need to find a copy of that one, and then I'll be able to keep reading what I have so far. But I have all of Phase 1 collected except for that first book, not the middle grade books. So with High Republic, there's middle grade books, there's comic books, there's young adult books, and there's adult books. I've been focusing on mainly collecting the young adult and the adult books just because it's just a lot to collect everything. And the young adult and adult books give you a very good overview of the whole story. So, and they're all interconnected. So anyway, so the next one I have is Into the Dark by Claudia Gray. I really loved this one too. This was a really, really good follow-up to Light of the Jedi. It includes these characters that you're meeting that you sort of, so it's interesting because in each book you hear different characters and they're all connected throughout all the stories, but different books focus on different characters. So I loved this one. Again, nailed the feeling of Jedi and what it means to be a Jedi, and a young Jedi who's struggling, figuring out where he fits in because he doesn't feel he quite fits in with the other Jedi. And it was so good. I loved the characters. I loved it. It was emotional. It was so good. This series is just great. It really is. It's like if Disney could have made these into movies, I would have been so happy. I mean, not to get into all that, but I just love these books. Next, I have Out of the Shadows. There's a book before this one. I think it's called The Rising Storm. That's the one I'm missing. So I haven't been able to continue reading the series yet, but I'm going to get The Rising Storm. I'm hoping to get it soon so that I can actually continue the series. But next we have Out of the Shadows, and that's another YA one. It's the next in the series. I'm going to try to put these back, so that I know how to put them back on the shelf. Then we have The Fallen Star, which is also by Claudia Gray. She's involved in this project, which is great because she's really good at this stuff. That's another adult book in the series. And the next YA book is Midnight Horizon. And I'm excited to read this one just like all the others. And then after that, that's all I have for Phase 1. I'm just missing The Rising Storm. This one is a random book I got in one of the big boxes of books again. It's from Phase 2, which is interesting because with the High Republic, the way they release the books is they have Phase 1, and then Phase 2 comes out, but Phase 2 is actually the prequel to Phase 1. And then phase 3 is the sequel to phase 1. So they kind of did the release order like with the movies where you had 4, 5, and 6 and then 1, 2, and 3. But I think that's a fun way to do it. So anyway, this is, I think, book 2 or maybe 1 in phase 2. But I need to collect all of phase 2, and then I just have this random book from phase 3 that I also need to collect the rest of phase 3, but this is the Eye of Darkness. So anyway, I've been working on collecting the High Republic books and really having fun with that. It's cool because they just released the last one this year, so I'll be really working on finishing up my collection now that all of them are out because I really enjoy them. They're fun to read, and they really get that Star Wars feel. Yeah, but this is kind of a different video, kind of random, just showing my collection of Star Wars books. If you're a Star Wars fan, I hope maybe there are some books you found that sound interesting, or maybe you have a huge collection of Star Wars books and you have some recommendations for me. Please recommend. Like I said, I read both canon and expanded universe. I love both, so my collection is scattered, but I have so much fun with Star Wars books, so just let me know what you think. Like I said, I'm missing some. My favorite series are all the Star Wars books by Timothy Zahn. He had Vision of the Future, Spectre of the Past, which was a sequel to the Heir to the Empire trilogy with Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, The Last Command. Those were those 3 books. You have Outbound Flight. There are a lot of good Star Wars books I don't have anymore that I used to own that I'll be recollecting. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you're a Star Wars fan, like which books are your favorite and what I should read next. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.